find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
This is very random, but did you see that thing I posted on the Anything Bone story about where Trump buried, I think it's his first wife?
Sorry, what? No.
Okay, so like Trump buried his first wife on the grounds of the golf course because cemeteries don't have to pay certain taxes.
Okay. Like what's her name who just died?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought, death fraud, that's our wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely is. And I mean, there's clearly a lot of fraud going on there. Today's the day where there's all kinds of news updates about the documents found at Mar-a-Lago. And it's really interesting to watch it unfold.
Fuck, I gotta get on the news. I've just been at work all day, but I'm like very interested in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of fraud going on over there. We hate Trump. Let's start the show.
In olden days, a glimpse of femur was only for morbid dreamers, but you're not alone. Bring anything bones. Two goofy gals with deathly interest go on a skeleton inquest in your headphones. Anything bones.
Hello and welcome to Anything Bones. I'm Sophie Two Grave Schwartz.
And I'm Katelyn. Channel News Update at 5, Heart.
Ooh, reporting live.
Reporting live from my living room.
It sounds like Minnie wants to report live.
Yeah. She's not meowing anymore, but Minnie was trying to get on the podcast for real.
Well, if she gets vocal again, maybe she can add her 2 cents to a story.
Yeah. She's really got a lot of good knowledge about crime. I want to amend what I said last week about her not, like I said, oh, she's creepy. Just kidding. No, this bitch is creepy. Like, I will be walking around my apartment and then I'll turn around and suddenly she's right behind me.
Well, she is a predator. She is meant to stalk and kill.
Yeah. I told Sophie this, but she and I killed a bug together the other day.
Oh my god. I've heard about this before, but the teamwork just still warms my heart.
There was a bug on the wall, and I just kind of moved the chair so that she could get up there and do her thing, and yeah, she definitely ate it, so all good there.
Well, that's what you want in a cat companion, someone who's willing to, like, help you kill a bug. Chase a mouse, stare at a bird.
Exactly. Protect the home.
Exactly. She was protecting you. That's adorable.
Anyway, how are you doing? What's up?
I'm doing good. My wonderful father is coming to visit this weekend, and we are going to get some furniture for my currently very empty apartment. But I've been sitting on the floor. Well, if I'm not in my bed, I'm sitting on the floor. So I'm excited about chairs. Excited about
love a chair.
Yes, excited about a desk. The only piece of furniture that I have outside of my bedroom is I was in an improv group, an experimental improv group called Big Cult before the pandemic, and we did a Wild West themed show, I think in 2019, that was seance themed. And there was a seance table that was just a dining room table we bought from Goodwill. But I was like, someday this will be I personally bought it for the show. And I was like, I'll buy this and I'll keep it. And with all the cool, occult painting on it, maybe I can grab a picture for the Instagram because it's really cool. It's designed by our friend Fern. I was like, someday this will be my dining room table. And that day has fucking come.
It is here. It is now. Where has it been this whole time?
Well, the base of it lived underneath my laundry hamper, served as a kind of Romanesque column on which I would put my dirty clothes. And the top of it lived in the very back of my closet. I had to haul everything out of my closet to get that fucker out. It was so heavy.
Yeah, damn.
I
That
forgot
sounds like a
how
lot of
heavy.
work.
Yeah, well, I forgot that we had to haul that table up and down the theater that we did it in was in a basement style theater. So we had to haul that bitch up and down stairs constantly. And I was like, oh, I remember why this was terrible. It's very solid wood, very heavy.
Yeah, but so exciting to be in your own place now.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I keep getting flashes of when you first got your own apartment by yourself and how much fun we had decorating it and how convenient it is right now that I'm decorating my house in the pre-spooky season.
Oh yeah, we have a date at Michael's for the near future.
Yes.
And we're getting some skulls.
Oh, I'm gonna go fucking hog wild because hopefully I will have maybe a bookshelf to
Yes.
trick out with trinkets and fun decorative Halloween themed miniatures.
Yeah, definitely gonna take up a corner of your apartment.
Damn, if honestly, if I see we're going to a lot of consignment shops. If I see a vintage dollhouse, I might go for it.
Honestly, why not?
Why not?
I forgot to tell you that I can't believe I forgot to tell you this, and I forgot to take pictures.
But
When I went to Leavenworth a couple weeks ago, there's Leavenworth, Washington, for those who don't know, is this weird Bavarian themed town in Washington, 2 hours away from Seattle, and you can get beer and sausage and chicken schnitzel and all that good stuff. And,
there's a Nutcracker museum.
There is a Nutcracker museum, and I can confirm that it still costs $5 to go there because I was really curious if they had to raise prices since we were there in 2017.
Well, apparently inflation does not touch the Nutcrackers.
But I went into the there's a Christmas store there because the whole place is so cool for Christmas. It's fun in the summer too, but they go all out for Christmas and winter and snow and all that good stuff. So there's a Christmas store that's open year round, and inside was in this whole back room there was
Christmas,
right, and bits you could buy. But then there was a whole section of a Halloween village.
Oh my god.
It was so insane and overwhelming. There was themed stuff like Beetlejuice and Ghostbusters and all kinds of stuff. It was just so cool.
Oh
there was
my
a
god.
haunted carousel.
My god.
I was like, who is this for? Who is
It's for
buying
me.
this? And I was like, Sophie would buy this.
Sophie, it's for Sophie. She's the one who will buy your haunted carousel. I love that. I can understand why you didn't take any pictures or videos because I would have just been in awe of that and then left later and gone, fuck, I should have documented it.
Yeah, and it was kind of something where I bet if I had sent you the picture, you would have been like, that's underwhelming. I think you just have to go yourself and possibly expand your miniature collection.
Well, I'm always down to make my miniatures bigger, as it were.
Yeah. My mom got a pumpkin at the Christmas store for a Halloween decoration because they had lots of Halloween stuff.
A fake pumpkin, I would guess?
Oh yeah, it was fake. It was decorative.
Fun. Well, I think I'm looking at the wall and it looks like it's just about bone o'clock.
Yeah, my watch has actually stopped. So that means it's bone o'clock.
It is. I always, the clock does say when it's bone o'clock, but when I'm away from home, I always know that it's bone o'clock because a chill goes through the wind and then my spine, and then usually there's a crow that goes, and then a cloud goes over the moon.
Yeah, exactly. And then everything
time stops.
Yeah, time stops and everything is very quiet. Okay. Well, setting the scene perfectly for this murder that I'm about to tell you about.
A murder? Oh no.
Yeah. We're back, baby, to me going first because I'm going to tell you something terrible and Sophie coming in hot at the end to liven things up a little bit. So my sources for this were allthat'sinteresting.com, 2 articles from redding.com, an article from Oxygen, and I like the crime and like Bravo
like
network.
the TV show?
Yeah, like they actually have a true crime section of their website, so, and it seemed to match up with all my other sources, so I was like, yeah, throw that in there. That was interesting.
This is the same network that, of course, hosted the Bad Girls Club.
You got it. And then also news.com.au. And then the whole reason that I started researching this was because I went on to Medium, which is a great app and website for just creepy stuff. And this was one of the first 5 stories that I came across. And I was like, oh shit, this is interesting. All right. It's too easy.
Well, spin me a bony tail.
Yes. So we're going back to 1993.
Hey, the year of our birth.
Exactly. And we are in Shasta County, California.
Oh, hey. I know where that is.
You know where that is? Cool. So it's the 7th of May, 1993. Unfortunately, this is the last day that 19-year-old Frank McAlister would be seen alive by anybody. This was the day he got a settlement of cash because he was in a pretty bad car accident recently. The settlement was about $4,500, and his girlfriend reported him missing after she knew he had gotten the money, but then he never came home, so she reported him missing. And nobody knew what happened until April 94. So almost a year later, they unfortunately find the skeletal remains of 19-year-old Frank McAlister just outside of Redding, California. And that's so sad to me. A hiker found him. So it's like, how did it take almost a year for his body to be found? Because we're going to find out that he was left where he died. There was very little effort to hide the body. It's just crazy that it was so long before they even found him.
That is pretty nuts.
And unfortunately, he'd been stabbed multiple times in the head, chest, and throat area. And so they find his body. They do find his car, but nothing ever it's in a Costco parking lot. And somehow there is blood in the car, but I guess because it was the early 90s, or maybe DNA technology wasn't very good, or for whatever reason, finding the car goes nowhere. And literally, this case goes cold, what's ice cold. Ice, baby.
I thought for a second you were going to go stone cold.
Well, that would have been, yeah, let me give you another take. That case went stone cold.
Until
you didn't think I was going to just be done with the story there.
Yeah, what a lovely 4-minute story, Katelyn.
Yeah, horribly sad. Murdered 19-year-old in California. No resolution until January 2018. So not too long, about 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, a man walked into his local TV news station and gave them the scoop on who killed Frank McAlister.
How did he know?
Because he was part of the group of murderers.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so the man in question is Brian Keith Hawkins. In 2018, it said he was 44, so now he would be almost 50. 48, I guess. He told the news station, which was KRCR, that he was, quote, sick of running, and that God and Christ and his own conscience had pushed him to admit his role in Frank's death.
Well, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. 25 years after he was involved in this murder, which I'm going to tell you exactly what went down in a minute, he was so torn up by what had happened that he went to the news first and then turned himself into the police. He said in his interview, quote, "I'm going to turn myself in next door at the sheriff's department for a crime I was involved in years ago. It was a murder." The actual interview with him, and you can watch this video, it's in my sources, they didn't air the interview until after he had turned himself in, because they wanted to make sure that his story was legit and it wasn't just some weird guy walking off the street confessing to a murder.
Yeah, it is odd to me, like, that he went to the press before the police.
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks to how badly he felt that he needed to atone for this. I don't think that you would do this to, like, get attention. I mean, I don't know. I guess it could be a way to get attention, but he did turn himself in. So I think it was, and from the things that he said and from watching the interview, there's only like some clips from that are like a minute of content, but you can tell he's really upset. Like he's very clearly has suffered for this whole time, and he should.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I refuse to feel bad for this guy.
Yeah.
Like, if he's like a murderer, I'm not gonna feel bad for how guilty he felt, because he's fucking guilty. Like,
yeah.
I have terrible anxiety, and if I do, like, one little thing that I, like, perceive that has hurt, like, a friend of mine, or I cut someone off in traffic accidentally, or I, like, accidentally nudge one of the dogs and it makes a sound, I, like, could beat myself up forever. I can't even imagine. But you murder someone, and that's what you fucking get.
Yeah, and you should probably also do that from a jail cell so you won't hurt anybody else.
Yeah.
So he was interviewed by reporter Courtney Creeder, and she said, quote, Hawkins came to KRCR and he wanted to confess to McAlister's death. He refused to answer any questions about the case itself, but said he wanted people to know that he had found God and that is what led him to finally do the right thing and confess.
See, I still don't like that vibe.
Not feeling it? Not interested?
Still not feeling it. He said, the first thing he said was, say that quote back again.
That the reporter said?
Yeah.
He refused to answer any questions about the case itself, but said he wanted people to know that he had found God, and that is what led him to finally do the right thing and confess.
I don't know. Like,
it's messy.
Still bad vibes.
You know I pick the messy ones.
You pick a messy one.
Because I don't like that a murder was committed, and I think murderers should feel guilty for the rest of their lives if they take someone away from their family and friends and everybody that loves them.
But it's like, who gives?
But at the same time, this case would have never, ever been solved if he hadn't finally come forward.
That's true. Like, I'm really thankful that he, like, came forward so that, like, you know, possibly we could have justice. Possibly, you know, we could know the story. Oh, we could know the story of this, of how, you know, this terrible, brutal crime. But, like, I don't know. Who gives a shit if you found God? You're a murderer.
Yeah. So he apparently asked for a soda and a smoke before the interview.
Of course, that's in his rider.
He said, quote, I know the wrong can't be changed, but this is the closest I can come to doing the right thing.
Yes, the very bare minimum.
It's the bare minimum. He did also name the two other people that committed the murder with him.
Again, the bare minimum.
Yeah, and kind of unclear who had what role in it, but there were three people involved in the murder of Frank McAlister. So Brian Hawkins is the guy that goes on the news in 2018, and he names a pair of siblings, Curtis and Shanna Culver. So this is not from the news interview. He did after the interview. He went and turned himself in. So what we learn is that in May 1993, Brian, Curtis, and Shanna found out that Frank was going to be getting this insurance payout for that car accident, the $4,500. So they lured him out to the woods near Shingletown. So allegedly, Frank was planning to use his settlement money to buy a lot of meth and sell it. Not great, but also not a reason to be murdered ever.
Yeah.
And I guess he had made a deal with Hawkins and the Culver siblings and they were pretending that they were going to sell him all this meth when really they were just planning to rob and murder him.
Oh, God.
It's just really sad. And he was 19 when he died. It just fucking sucks.
Yeah, your life hasn't even really started.
No. Brian and Curtis, the brother, they both point the finger at each other about who actually did what. But ultimately, the victim, Frank, was stabbed. And there are some reports that say that they dropped a rock on his head.
Dear God.
I know. Curtis, at one point, I can't remember. It was Curtis. He was like, well, I thought he was still alive, so I dropped the rock to be like a mercy killing. It's like, dude, that's not a mercy. Like, you'd put him in that situation. So it's just really messy and sad.
Yeah, that's horrible.
So they took the $4,500, drove Frank's car back to Reading, and left the car in that Costco parking lot where it was found. And one of my sources said that Brian Hawkins and the Culver siblings were actually on police's radar pretty early on. They knew that they were the last people to see Frank McAlister alive, but they told the cops that they dropped him off at Waterworks Park, wherever that is. Sounds nice. And they were apparently interviewed a bunch of times, but always said they had nothing to do with it. And I guess they were believed or not. Whatever. There was no evidence because nothing happened for 25 years.
Yeah, maybe they just didn't have a way to pursue it.
I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but it would not have been solved if Brian Hawkins hadn't grown a fucking conscience. Is that right? Conscience?
Conscience.
Yeah, conscience. And finally admitted to what he did. I don't know, like you said, it's kind of weird that he didn't just go straight to the cops. Like, I don't know why he needed to go on the news, but I thought it was really interesting and crazy.
That is bonkers. Like, I cannot imagine what it must have been like for those reporters and like people who were like hanging out at the station that day when this guy showed up and was like, excuse me,
hey,
I would like to give you the ultimate scoop. I'm a fucking murderer and I have found God.
Yeah.
It's like, well, half of that's important.
I'm gonna say the last sort of meaningful quote that I got from from Brian Hawkins' interview with the reporters. Quote, "Every minute of every day has been a nightmare. It's kind of weird. Frank never got to have a life, but we were teenagers and now I'm 44 and still haven't even had a life and now probably won't anyway."
Well, life for a life. Like,
yeah.
You took this kid's life away because he was just basically a kid. When you're 19, like, you're legally an adult, but you're really still a kid.
And for $4,500.
Yes. I mean, there's no amount of money that it's cool to kill someone over, but, like, that's, even in the 90s, like, that's not an exorbitant amount of money.
No, absolutely not.
You take this kid's life away and it will absolutely ruin yours.
Yeah. And good. That's good.
I'm glad.
Exactly. So everybody pled guilty in court, luckily.
Good.
They all were sentenced to various things, including murder charges, assault charges, robbery charges. Brian Hawkins will serve 25 to life. Curtis Culver will get 35 to life, and the sister Shanna will get 20 years to life.
Well, I hope they don't get out.
No, they got to live for 25 years while Frank McAlister's family just had no idea what happened to him.
Yeah, and their time with their loved one was cut violently short.
Frank was his parents' only child, and his father died before he was able to find out what happened to his son. I know, horrible. Frank's mom was 81 at the time of all these arrests, and she told reporters that the arrests brought her some relief, but I mean, it can't undo the damage that's already been done.
No, and it probably just confirmed what she had already suspected.
Yeah. So I'm going to end with a quote from Frank McAlister's family that was put up on the district attorney's Facebook page when all of the murderers were sentenced. Quote, "Murdered at 19 years old, the criminals involved robbed Frank of a life, the opportunity to create a positive legacy. Frank was denied his whole life filled with opportunity, the creation of a family, a chance to love and be loved. To this day, our family imagines what life would have been like for all of us had Frank lived to be a part of all of us."
Got me.
I'm sorry. And that's my story. And it's really sad. And but I was just the guy going on the news was so compelling to me.
That is so compelling. Like,
just imagine what he went through in like the moments before going on the air. Like, I'm not trying to I don't feel bad for him, but can you just imagine?
But that's an out of this world type of feeling to know that you're about to confess to murder. Like, it flies in the face of like what every instinct like people have when they murder someone. You know, he's been living with it all this time, and now he's gonna like do the thing. He's gonna say it out loud. But like, you know, like I've said so many times in the story, I do not feel bad for any of them. They got what they deserved. You murder this young man, and you know, you flush your life down the toilet because, you know, even though he's a murderer, he still has a conscience, and that conscience served to do what conscience do, to try to make you do what you perceive to be the right thing. And it's interesting that like religion brought him to like doing the right thing.
Yeah, after 25 years.
Yeah, he waited a good long time. That's the other thing. You can't be too pleased with him, because it really could have come forward with it, you know, like 10, you know, right after it happened, a year after it happened, 2 years after it happened, 10 years after it happened, like, but good on him. Clap, clap, clap for him that he did do it. But that's so wild. God, yeah. Like, what if you're just like so-and-so's secretary and like this dude walks by you go, "Oh, I wonder who that guy is." And then later you know, someone says, "Oh yeah, that guy killed somebody." Yeah.
And he feels bad about it, found God, and he's about to talk to us about it on the air.
I would be like, cool, who needs coffee?
Yeah, it was a good plan to, like, do the interview and then hold it until the story could be confirmed and the guy went to jail and everything.
Yeah.
Like,
you know, there could have been any number of reasons that the story wasn't viable, but boy, I'm glad that it was.
Yeah, that's
Damn
it.
Katelyn. That was a wild one.
I don't know, man.
Well, I guess.
You trying to find a light way to end this and segue into an ad?
Uh-huh.
Here comes the airplane! Vroom!
That works.
Hello! Welcome to BSP Believer Skeptic Podcast.
The commercial where two idiots debate weird phenomena.
I'm Chris, I'm the believer.
I'm Cody, I'm the skeptic.
We are an LGBTQ paranormal comedy podcast.
And proud members of the Podmoth Network.
So, did you know there's a creature in Japan called a kappa that tries to suck a bejeweled life force out of your anus?
What? I did not, and I'm not even going to try debunking that. Instead, I volunteer as tribute.
Okay, so if you like your podcast a little spooky, a little mysterious, a lot gay, do we have the show for you?
Just listen and subscribe to BSP Believer Skeptic Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And for more content, search BSPodPHX on social media or visit bspodphx.com. Bye!
Alright, Katelyn, make sure you grab your overhead luggage from the plane. We are deplaning.
Alright, I'm getting off the plane. I'm taking my bad vibes with me. And, what do you have for us?
Well, I have something very interesting. I'm going to lay out my sources just real quick off the top just to get them out of the way because I want to barrel through this motherfucker.
Yeah.
All right. So I have an article from Ranker, LA Times, Mental Floss, 2 from the Smithsonian, and 2 from Wikipedia. All right. So today I want to talk about the life and then burial plans of William Frederick Cody.
Okay, hi, guy.
William Frederick Cody is not what he's like known as in history. Do you have any idea who this is?
No clue.
Would giving you a time period make your guess better?
Sure, yeah.
He was born on February 26, 1846, and died January 10th, 1917.
Where was this?
America.
William Cody?
Yeah.
Literally all I can think of is The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. I can't do this.
Oh, Katelyn, we're talking about Buffalo Bill.
Oh, okay. I should have known.
And not the fictional serial killer.
Not from Silence of the Lambs.
Not from Silence of the Lambs, although that would very much be in our wheelhouse. I'm talking about the Wild West showman and buffalo hunter.
Wow. I do just have to tell you my favorite line of Buffalo Bill's from the Silence of the Lambs, because I know you'll never watch it.
I've seen the Silence of the Lambs, bitch.
I stand corrected. Okay, my favorite line, let's see if you remember it, is, "Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me."
Or you're just quoting me in the morning when I look in the mirror. Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. Interesting character, that Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, but that's a wild movie. Anyway, I'm so sorry. I really didn't think you'd ever have an interest.
No, I watched it with Shelby in college at some point. I was scared.
Yeah, it's a scary one.
I didn't prefer it, but I did watch it.
Yeah.
All right. So Buffalo Bill, the Wild West showman. So he was an American soldier, bison hunter, and showman, like I said. He was born in the Iowa Territory, which is now the state of Iowa. Good job, Iowa.
Big change.
Yeah. So he lived there for several years, and then he moved to Canada before coming back to the Midwest and settling in the Kansas Territory. So Buffalo Bill started working when he was 11 years old after his father's death. So they lived also in a town called Leavenworth.
Oh my god, okay.
I know, right? When you brought that up, I was like, Leavenworth, eh? But Leavenworth was a pro-slavery town.
Boo.
I know. And one night his father and these pro-slavery assholes would have meetings. And one time Buffalo Bill's dad, Isaac, was walking around at night. I don't know what he was doing, but he ended up running into one of these meetings, and they were like, "Hey, Buffalo Bill's dad, what do you think about slavery?" And he's like, "You know what? I don't like it, and I don't think we should keep doing it." And they were like, beans, and they stabbed him a bunch.
God damn it. That is disgusting.
He didn't die immediately, though. He ended up dying about 3 years later from complications from the stabbing.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what to say to that. It's neither good nor bad.
No. So at the age of 11, Bill starts working, and he gets a job as a freight carrier as a, quote, boy extra.
Any other details?
None.
For Billy
He's just
here.
an extra boy.
Okay.
You need an extra boy? We got one. No, he did carry messages on horseback for the freighting firm Major and Russell. And Major and Russell would then become part of the Pony Express.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
You heard of the Pony Express?
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of people think that Buffalo Bill rode for the Pony Express, but he actually probably didn't. He was doing this job, which is basically the same thing, but at the time the Pony Express was, doing its nasty thing, he was in school in Leavenworth.
Yeah,
So he couldn't have been galloping across Wyoming, sending messages and shit.
Unless he was failing.
You know what? You gotta keep your grades up. That's what Buffalo Bill says.
You got to. It's gotta be important.
Yes. So, during the American Civil War, he fought for the Union. Yay!
Yeah.
from 1863 to the end of the war in 1865, and then he was a civilian scout for the U.S. armies during, like, the Great Plains Wars, and he received a Medal of Honor for his participation in that. He received his nickname Buffalo Bill after the Civil War when he had a contract with the Kansas Pacific Railroad to provide buffalo meat.
Oh,
for them.
It was just, that's it. That's this, okay. That's why he's called Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, he is supposed to have killed 4,282 buffalo in 18 months.
Wow, that's really precise.
It's a lot.
And it's a lot of buffalo, God.
Yeah, and apparently there was another guy named Bill Comstock who also was a buffalo hunter.
Oh, shit.
And they ended up having a buffalo shooting match to decide who was gonna have the nickname Buffalo Bill.
Oh my God, this is so Wild West. Like,
it is, and it's so fucked. I'm sorry that we're back on Buffalo Talk, by the way. I will be changing the name of this podcast to Anything Buffaloes.
Apparently.
And all of my topics will be buffalo related. These are the kind you know and love.
Yeah. Next week is bison talk.
Okay, challenge accepted. So, just a quick fun fact about the gun that Buffalo Bill used to shoot and kill all these bison. It had a fun nickname. He called it Lucretia Borgia.
That's a mouthful.
Well, after the Italian noblewoman.
Oh, okay.
Which is like,
what?
Just an odd pull for him.
And
in my mind.
Why a gun? Like, call it.
Because guns are sexy like women.
Yeah, God.
So, this buffalo hunting is, I think if you know anything about, like, the American, like, Wild West, this buffalo hunting kind of became a staple of the time. Buffalo hunting was originally a practice of Native Americans, you know, the first people to live on this land, and then was adopted by the European hunters who then came to colonize the land. And the U.S. government basically would pay hunters to hunt out this buffalo, partly for, you know, they say for meat, but also to deplete the resources of the Native Americans who lived on that land, because buffalo were a huge part of their life and lifestyle.
Oh my God, what a bunch of assholes. Why would you take buffalo away? Yeah, that's just sick.
And they basically, you know, throughout this and throughout, I'm going to say this in quotes, but like, quote, the American Indian Wars, the Great Plains Wars, the time when colonizing Europeans came and did like genocide upon the Native Americans. A part of that was hunting buffalo to near extinction. And I looked it up, and they're scooch, scratch, scrawling their way off that endangered animals list. Just barely off of there. Yeah. So please protect the buffaloes.
Protect the buffalo. Nice job, white settlers. Thanks for the gift that keeps on giving. Extinct buffalo.
Exactly. And like I said, for the native people of the Great Plains, the buffalo was an incredibly important part of their lives, both like as a resource for, you know, like pelts, meat, also spiritually and religiously a very important figure. A Crow chief, Plenty Coups, described it as, quote, "When the buffalo went away, the hearts of my people fell to the ground, and they could not lift them up again. After this, nothing happened. There was little singing anywhere."
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, which led to, like, a rampant, like, spiritual loss for a lot of native people of the area. And the thing is that, like, to see the, like, I'll send you this picture now, and I guarantee that you have seen it before, but, like, to just hit home the quantity of which these buffalo were hunted, I got a picture for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, oh my god. That's so many skulls.
This was devastation both on an ecological front, a spiritual front. This is, also fueled by racism and by colonialism. It's bad.
It's bad, and it's just these two guys in the picture just to show the scale of the pile of buffalo skulls. It's just like, for what? So you can assert your power over these people that you've decided you know better than, even though they lived here before you, and it's just, like, you're making that pile to be assholes.
Yeah. And it's intimidating.
Yeah.
It's a threat.
Was Buffalo Bill involved in that pile of crap?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not directly, but
not directly, but like if we think about this pile and then we think of these buffalo skulls, an enormous pile where men are literally encased like in buffalo skulls when they sit in it. Buffalo Bill killed like over 4,000 buffalo in 18 months. How big of a pile you think 4,000 skull makes? Like, pretty big, probably. Back to Buffalo Bill, who's a controversial man. We'll talk more about what we think of him personally later. But he first kind of entered the public eye in 1869 when he met the writer Ned Buntline, who decided to publish a little story like based on Buffalo Bill's adventures in the Street and Smith's New York Weekly, which probably was pretty fun to read at that time. And it was later he expanded these stories out into a really successful novel called Buffalo Bill, King of the Bordermen, which was first like a serialized like story in the Chicago Tribune. So that's how we start to build these like mythos about Buffalo Bill, because a lot of the stuff that was written down by Buntline was kind of way fabricated by the writer.
Yeah, it's
just like
fiction.
Yeah, exactly. Just turned it up a little bit.
Sure.
Sauced it up a little bit. So he wrote many other sequels to this first Buffalo Bill novel. And, of course, Buffalo Bill would later become world famous for his Buffalo Bill's Wild West, which was a touring show which traveled all around the United States, Great Britain, and Europe. And people were just crazy about this show. People loved it. And the Queen even saw it. Queen Victoria even saw it. And when she came out to see it, it was the first time she had made an appearance since her husband's death.
Oh my god. Yeah. Damn.
So she was like, I gotta catch this show.
This is important to me. Can I just say something I learned about Queen Victoria on the Morbid podcast?
Yeah, please.
Because I was tickled by it. I just finished, they did a 5-part series on Jack the Ripper. And at one point during the Jack the Ripper killings, like towards the end, Queen Victoria wrote the police a letter being like, what the fuck are you doing?
Really?
Yeah. She was like, are you gonna catch this motherfucker? Like,
or what?
Yeah. I thought
hilarious.
That detail was just like, oh shit, yeah, that's amazing.
She's looking at the papers going, don't I have people to deal with this?
Yeah, is somebody gonna catch this guy? They never did.
Sorry, I'm just gonna make a little amendment. It was for Queen Victoria going out to see this show. It was the first time since her husband's death 2 decades earlier that she appeared in person. So it was not a recent death. She has not been out for a show in a couple of decades.
She was very much a homebody and only came out for Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, and a right fucking letters to the police saying, get your fucking shit together.
Yeah.
So when I was kind of hinting that it's just... Buffalo Bill's an interesting guy because he, in his time doing this Wild West show, he spent a lot of time with Annie Oakley and Calamity Jane.
Oh, yeah.
So they had a huge impression on him, and he became a vocal supporter of women's suffrage.
Okay, we like that.
We like that. And it's interesting because he had participated, right, in these Great Plains Wars, in this, had participated in the genocide of Native people. But then later in his life, very vocally and publicly was like, I feel terrible about this, and I wish I hadn't participated in it.
Wow. That's weird that was a theme for our stories.
I know, right? He said, quote, I never scouted with a party of soldiers after Indians that I didn't feel a bit ashamed for myself and a whole heap sorrier for them.
Yeah,
guy.
No.
Oh, did you feel sorrier for them than yourself?
Yeah, no shit.
So, he ended up having some interesting views for the time. So, in 1895, Cody Buffalo Bill ends up helping found the town of Cody in northwestern Wyoming.
Oh, I wonder where he got that name.
Yeah, he's like, what's a great name for a town? How about my name?
Okay.
At least he didn't name it like Buffalo Billville.
Yeah, that would have been
great.
Hilarious, but a mouthful.
Yeah, right? But it was great because he employed a lot of the residents and was responsible for its booming tourism business. Because people loved Buffalo Bill at this time, and he was super famous. So in 1917, Cody goes to visit his sister in Denver, and he ends up dying of liver failure there in January.
Oh shit, Buffalo Bill dies of liver failure.
Yeah. You'd think it'd be in some sort of shootout, but it's I'm so sorry, kidney failure. God damn it.
I mean,
he
it's
died
not
of
okay.
kidney failure. I mean,
kidney failure is not okay, but it's okay that you said it. That's okay.
Kidney, liver, you both need them to live. So there were a lot of people would think, he would probably be buried in Cody, Wyoming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's put a lot of time and money in there.
You would think.
But he also really loved Colorado.
Okay. Love those Rocky Mountains, baby.
Mm-hmm. He hung out there a lot as a little kid, and when he was 13, he became a wannabe little gold rush prospector in the 1859 gold rush there in Colorado. And he visited Colorado often, both through his vaudeville show and to visit his sister. So, when he died there, he had actually previously told his wife that he wanted to be buried on Lookout Mountain.
Which is where?
Which is in Colorado.
Okay.
And this mountain is really beautiful because it has a view of the Great Plains, where Buffalo Bill did his nasty thing. And there's even a little herd of buffalo that still live there today that are direct descendants from those original buffalo.
It's tight. I'm glad some of them made it out.
But there was an earlier version of his will that said that he was to be buried in Cody, Wyoming.
Uh-oh.
So we've got two conflicting burial sites.
Chop the body in half.
Yeah, who's the king who was into that? Who was chopping babies in half?
Oh, God. It's a biblical thing. I can't recall. I don't know. Solomon? King Solomon? I don't know.
Yeah, Wisdom of Solomon. All right. But so, for the time being, they are trying to bury him on Lookout Mountain, because that's what the latest will has said. And this proves a lot more difficult than one might have hoped, because it's January.
Yikes.
There is snow that makes the road to Lookout Mountain completely impassable. And at the burial site, that ground would be frozen solid.
Yeah, how are you gonna dig a hole?
You're not. So for a while, you're gonna lay the body in state at the Colorado Capitol building.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Go see Buffalo Bill. A showman till the end.
Yeah. Wait, what kind of show did he have again? Just like a P.T. Barnum, like a circus, or like an oddities show?
It was like a Wild West vaudeville show. It, had, like I said, Annie Oakley and Calamity Jane, who were both sharpshooters.
Okay.
There was some offensive Native American
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
There was probably, some like medicine show type stuff. What you think of when you think like, step right up. It's the Wild West.
Sure.
Come see a man in a big hat throw knives at a lady. I'm guessing.
Sure, yeah. Pretty spot on, I would say. I wasn't there, but...
Yeah. Buffalo Bill received a full Masonic funeral, which I thought was interesting.
Huh.
And news of his death reached Europe, and condolences were sent by King George V, Kaiser Wilhelm II, and of course our own President Woodrow Wilson. His body was placed in a carriage that went through the streets of Denver, and huge crowds of people came to see this carriage off because he was, like I said at this time, incredibly popular. So while this was all happening, while we were waiting for the weather to change, so after he was paraded through the streets of Denver, they kept his body in cold storage at a Denver mortuary while they waited for the snow to thaw and for them to kind of make a more final decision about where they were going to bury him. Because now Colorado and Wyoming start having a feud about this body.
Oh my god. They both are like, no, he needs to be buried in my state.
Yeah. Wyoming is like, hey, Cody should be buried here. There's a 1906 draft of his will that says that he's supposed to be buried near Cody on Cedar Mountain. And Colorado says, no, fuck you. In his latest version of the will, he leaves it up to his widow, who chose Lookout Mountain as per his request.
Shoot.
So we've got a battle of the wills. So at this time, there's a lot of rumors circulating around, and a popular one is that Wyoming hired men to go steal Cody's body and then replace it with a random dude.
Yikes. Like a high school team stealing the other guy's mascot or something.
Exactly. This is nuts. So they were like, you know what? It's like thought out now. We're going to put these rumors to rest. When they finally buried Cody, they opened the casket for everyone to see that it was indeed him. Closed that sucker up, put it in the ground on Lookout Mountain in June of 1917.
Lookout Mountain is in Colorado, right?
Hell yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
Colorado gets this one. About 25,000 people went to the mountaintop to say goodbye to him. And to prevent theft, the bronze casket was then sealed in another, tamper-proof casket, and then enclosed in concrete and iron.
Jesus.
They're not fucking around.
They're like, come at me, Wyoming. Try to get him now.
Well, the drama don't stop.
Oh my god.
Because in the 1920s, Cody's niece, Mary Jester Allen, was claiming that Denver had conspired to, tamper with Cody's will. And then in response, Cody's foster son, Johnny Baker, disinterred the body and then had it reburied at the same site under a few tons of concrete to prevent theft. So he was already buried in concrete, and then they dug him back up and added more concrete.
They left him in the same spot?
Yeah.
Why dig him up then?
To put more concrete on top.
Oh my god, what?
You can never have too much concrete in a famous person's grave. If there's one thing we've learned on this podcast, it's that.
I guess, but it's ridiculous. Okay.
We're still not done with this, though. Because in 1948, the Cody, Wyoming American Legion offered a $10,000 reward to anyone who would disinter the body and return it to Wyoming.
Jesus Christ. Come on, guys. Get over it.
In response to this, Colorado was like, fuck you, and surrounded the grave with the National Guard.
Oh my god. Really, guys, how many tourists are coming to this thing? Is it really that big of a deal?
Well, people go there and, flip a nickel onto his, a buffalo nickel.
Okay. So they just, But that's what I feel like it was. They just wanted people spending their money in their state. Sorry.
It's true, though. It all comes down to tourism, because even as recently as 2006, Wyoming...
Get over it, you guys. Sorry.
Wyoming legislators joked about doing an effort to retrieve Buffalo Bill.
It better have been a joke, guys. Let him be.
I mean, all this is about, tourism and pride and money for the state. You hit it right on top of the head. It all comes down to, what will make money for the state and what's, a point of pride for them. Because there's still conspiracy theories that is not Buffalo Bill in that grave on top of Lookout Mountain, that he is, in fact, buried in Cody somewhere, and that, they did a grand switcheroo.
God. I mean, wherever he is, I hope he feels bad for what he did to the Native Americans. It sounds like he did.
He did, but again, like with the murderer, you can feel as bad as you want, but you can't resurrect the people you killed and the buffalo you hunted into near extinction.
Right, yeah.
As much as we love that you love women's rights.
Yeah, it's not enough, my guy.
It's not enough, my guy. It's not enough. But yeah, I thought that was really fascinating, because I had always thought of Buffalo Bill as almost like a mythic figure, and he is in a way, of all the legends that surround him. But I think that it was fitting that there's still an air of mystery even about where his body lays.
Yeah, I love that little creepy detail. And I gotta be honest, I didn't know hardly anything about Buffalo Bill, other than the Silence of the Lambs version. So I'm glad to... I mean, obviously I knew that it had something to do with, the Wild West, and, I mean, you can get that from Buffalo, but, yeah, that was really cool, and I had no idea.
Yeah, well, thanks for letting me take you on an Old West journey. Thanks for being my co-host on Anything Buffalo Talk.
Yeah, I love it. And we'll get Buffalo on here real soon to talk about how hard it is to be a buffalo. And all of the crimes that they committed years ago.
You mean the people, but in my mind, it was a buffalo with a gun.
A buffalo with a horrible past.
Yeah, a buffalo with a troubled past who has reformed himself.
Yeah.
But he's not proud of what he did. He's not proud of how many people he trampled or how many casinos he heisted.
He's found God and he wants to make amends.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
Next week we will have a buffalo that has found Jesus, so you must tune in.
Yeah, don't miss it. I love you guys.
Buffaloes for Jesus.
Buffaloes for Jesus. Try and take care of yourselves out there. It's getting real hairy and weird again.
Yeah, please be, safe and healthy, and find a bone of your own to appreciate.
Yeah, what bone are you appreciating right now?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I am appreciating my spine right now. Because I think I need to appreciate it more. Actually, I think I need to appreciate my spine. I'm not appreciating it enough.
Okay.
Because I'm sitting on the ground, like I said before, and my spine feels like a crinkly little Cheeto.
Well, hopefully not for long. There's a desk in your future.
I hope so. What bone or collection of bones are you appreciating right now?
Right now, it's pretty close to yours. It's the whole, shoulder, upper chest area, which I slouch really badly, so I need to be more aware of that and not bringing my shoulders forward. Put them back and chest out.
Chest out and attack the world.
We love you, boneheads.
And
Bone.
Voyage.
Goodbye.
Chest out. Bones back. face proud.
Thanks for listening to Anything Bones. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Anything Bones Podcast, or email us at anythingbonespodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you to Nick Kruger for our spooky music and Stephen Vetteroff
At Chubby Scrubby on Twitter.
for our jazzy vocals, and thank you to Camilla Franklin
At Camilla Strader on Instagram.
for our beautiful bony artwork. Please rate, review, and subscribe.
Any other details?
None.
For Billy
He's just
here.
an extra boy.
Okay.
You need an extra boy? We got one.